Okay.
I'm going to drink my root beer flavored whiskey.
Is that a root beer? Do you actually have IBC in there?
No, it's whiskey.
Fuck that.
It's whiskey that's
okay,
flavored.
so let's get back to episode 2.
No, it's IBC flavored whiskey.
I don't want that. Episode 2.
Drink it.
I don't want anything that you have for me. Episode 2 now.
Just try it.
I don't need to touch
Fucking
that.
drink it.
It's not going to happen.
I'm going to kill you with this.
What's going to happen? Hey, Parker.
Yes, man.
Do you want to start the introductions?
The what?
This is going to be our next
All right,
episode.
so welcome
Can't
to
start
Learn to...
until Spence tries the whiskey.
I'm not trying that. Just
Welcome
try
to
it.
Learn to
I'm not
Wargame,
drinking.
the
I'm
Batman
not drinking.
miniature
No, just
combat
taste
game.
it.
Batman.
Just taste
Oh,
it.
sorry, official Batman miniatures game podcast.
We don't
Licensed.
official anything or Batman.
Licensed. We are licensed. I'm not drinking that.
Why not?
I'm not drinking.
Why not?
I'm not drinking.
Just taste it.
Brandon,
I'm not
Brandon.
asking you to get wasted.
It doesn't matter. Peer pressure
I
doesn't
think
work.
you have a problem.
You do. Okay, so hello, and thank you for tuning in to L2 Wargame audio podcast. This is Spence.
You can't do intros.
I just started it.
We never established who was doing intros.
Yeah, you didn't.
We did. It's
Maybe
me.
you should do them.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on you to be quiet.
Don't you? Okay, 10 seconds of you not fucking this up.
1,000. 2 1,000.
Oh, I gotta go my composure.
You had composure.
Hello and welcome to the Learn to Wargame audio podcast. This is Brandon, or PG Mutos on the forums, and I play caterer.
Lies.
Shut
Lies.
up!
This is Spence. Spence, he owns night models. He plays the night guy models in the game with the water. So this is what he plays. Thank you very much.
This is Jeremey. I go by Lord Fool, and I think I'm having a stroke. Yep, I smell toast.
Hi, Jeremy.
I play mercenaries, mainly Magnus.
Who else there? Hey, hello, friend in the internet. Hello, what's your name?
Are you Borat or Mexican? I can't tell.
It's kind of that Slavic.
No, I think we need Parker to do his Slavic accent.
I have a Slavic accent? Oh, I do.
Revelations.
Oh wait, Brandon, weren't you going to be doing an accent? Thought we discussed that.
I don't think my Russian Jamaican accent is ready for the internet.
Russian Jamaican.
Mainly because I don't know what accents are like, so I just make up fake words.
All right, Parker.
Introduce
Parker.
yourself.
Oh, yeah, my name is Parker. Wait, am I supposed to do it in the Slavic voice?
Yes.
Okay,
Actually, we have a request that you only speak in your Russian accent now.
okay.
I'm
that
not
will
kidding.
Be...
Someone actually approached me and said, you need Parker to only do the Russian.
What?
No, that happened.
I think that was for an internet site.
He's putting his finger inside of two other fingers. Now there's two fingers, and he's doing his whole hand now. It's really weird. Oh my god. It's like to the elbow.
This is Parker.
I
And I'm
forgot about this voice. Hello, Packers. Welcome to War Games show. We talk about.
I can't do it. I can't do it when you're looking at me.
Hey, you guys.
Parker, you know you're not in the room.
Look at that.
You can just feel how hard I'm judging him.
Do not look at.
Phrasing.
It
Okay.
feels exactly the same as if you're here.
Feels exactly this.
So he's Russian Borat, you're Mexican Borat. Jeremy is just weird.
I
I can do Irish. Yeah.
Oh God, that's the
Yeah.
worst.
What the fuck?
Like you're an Irish man having a stroke.
Or do you have a seizure going on right now? Hey, Jeremy, tell me more of you do things for the voice, yes.
Okay, my name is Parker.
Hey, my
I go back to
fuckings
me.
now.
I'm just gonna talk over them.
Hey, record you say about yourself, yeah?
All right, it's been like 5-10 minutes for the intro.
That's because you won't let Parker talk.
I'm playing a lot of Signar right now. Really enjoying it. Blue guys are awesome. Waiting for Darius to be as cool as I want. I want to start this conversation about Mark III because that's this conversation, right?
No,
That's the name.
we're talking about the current meta with convergence.
Shut the fuck up. What, Mark? What'd you say, Parker?
So here's the deal. It's not Mark 3. So this Mark 3 thing coming up,
No,
I
Parker,
heard.
it's not Mark 3. It's just a new rules edition.
Age of Signar?
Are we going to do this?
Continue, Parker.
I actually am willing to call it Vinter's Edition. Can we call it Vinter's Edition?
No, because it's not necessarily going to be Vinter.
Age of
I think it's
Signar.
going to be Vinter's.
All we know is Leto is gone.
Okay, so let's take this for serious real quick.
No, to be 100% honest here, I am glad that Vinter might be taking Signar back over again, because I was really annoyed that Signar was leeching the pussy faction away from Brett for a while, because they had all this whole not badass thing going on, but if Vinter comes back, then we can all just agree that it's red, and we can just move on.
I talked to you guys the other day about this, that I played Darius in the end of Mark 1 back when he was king shit of fuck mountain, and I did not lose a game with him. He's the only caster in the game I did not lose once with. And I have literally put him out on the table with Warjacks, a whole 50-point army surrounding him in Mark 2, and I have not actually brought myself to play him in Mark 2. The nerf bat was so hard upon him. He clutched his chest as a nerf stroke, took half of his body. He fell over a nerf cliff, hit every nerf rock. He luckily strangled himself on a nerf tree just long enough to slow his fall into the nerf river, where he slowly...
Parker, I love you, but you're talking about pussy-ass Mark II shit that nobody gives a fuck about. Mark II is pussy game. Nobody played it ever,
Time
okay?
for wild speculation.
Now, you all bringing up Vinter just made me picture something really great. You brought up the whole fact that Signar were pussies, and now, like, if he comes back, they're not going to be pussies anymore. When you brought up pussy factions, I immediately thought, Lael? It's like, the faction that isn't even really a fact. They didn't get represented again because they got their ass rammed in that hard. Okay, now, let's take a step back. I'm picturing Vinter sitting down at the table with all the fucking generals of Signar, and they're all like...
but this is wild speculation. This is
not speculation of rules, I just want storyline to happen. So he sits down at the fucking table, and they're all like, Lord Vinter, we need to discuss. The Khadorans are moving in on Lael, and he's all like, yeah. They're all like, are we going to help him? He's like, why? They're like, because the Khadorans will be at our doorstep. He's like, tell the fuckers to bring it. Like, it's like, that's his way of dealing with it. He's all like, good. I don't want to walk through fucking virgin territory of Lael where there is no fucking vagina in order just to get up to fucking, like, Khador. It's like, I like the fact that if he comes in, it could actually be ass-beating time. I
really, really love what I'm hoping for when I'm crossing my fingers for. This is the only speculation I'll offer. I really hope that they keep some casters exactly as is and then just do all the stuff they're promising, because that'll make a lot of them playable again, the ones that are currently just lagging behind. A lot of them are Jack-focused casters. Playing Signar right now, I have like 4 casters that are amazing Jack casters if they had 7 more focus. And if they actually do this thing where all the Jacks get the focus, if all this stuff comes exactly as they're promising, which they have promised, they've said it, so that's not speculation. The only thing that makes me nervous is that they'll take the Jack-focused casters in the game, and they'll actually start hamstringing them all a little bit, even the ones that are currently hamstrung. I'm really nervous that's going to happen. That is a speculation, but mostly it's just a fear. I'm nervous that they're going to take the Mordenebras and the Pevlods and the Krays and the Dariuses and the...
I do not think they're going to do a major overhaul of everything like they did from Mark 1 to Mark 2. There were very few unchanged models from Mark 1 to Mark 2. I do not think that will be the case from Mark 2 to Mark 3. I think we'll probably see about a 30 to 50% change on models throughout the population of the game.
Are you saying a 30 to 50% change?
30 to 50% of the models will see a change.
I don't think that's true.
I
think from what I understand
I think it'll be much bigger than that.
I think every model is going to be revamped to be, if not, they're not going to be unidentifiable from what they were, but they're definitely going to be different than they were.
I guess when I say that, I mean more of a noticeable change. Like if they change a small rule like, what am I thinking here? Like
Death toll on Vindicate.
Very similar rules, changing them between.
I think the playstyle is essentially going to be the same for them.
Right, like I don't think that Harvey's playstyle is going to change at all.
That's my concern. That's a concern that I have, is I don't want anything to become unrecognizable from what we know it to be. But my issue is they've promised certain things, okay?
Oh, well, how about this? The Juggernaut. 7-point baseline Jack and caterer. What's changing on that? If you were going to take your best guess, what's changing?
I have no idea. The thing is, this is okay. That's where the speculation comes in, which has been my biggest problem. People talking about this. Okay, we're making declarations that things are going to change based on the rules that we know right now.
No, I'm asking you to make a guess. I understand this is not factual. I want you to make a guess.
No, I know what you're saying. But the thing is, you're asking. They're changing the overall rules of the game.
Potentially, yes.
Well, they're changing some things that they've declared thus far. Like, for example, the focus mechanic. Okay, the fact that they want to
adding a rule. They're not changing the way focus works.
Thus far, they told us that they're going to do this one specific thing, the power-up thing. That's going to affect a lot. Now, it's going to affect a lot based on what we know right now. What if it's not that big a deal?
Did focus actually change at all from Mark 1 to Mark 2? I don't think there's any difference.
Nope.
It's exactly the same.
Absolutely.
Okay. The only thing that changed Mark 1 and Mark 2 is rules on cards and the way that you determined targets, like some range attack changed a bit, like how you could, like in Mark 1, you could hide behind other models, get defense bonuses. That was the only mechanical rule they actually changed from Mark 1 to Mark 2. It's the only one was range attack. Everything else was just text on cards.
That's what I was trying to say, though. I don't think the cornerstone pieces are going to change that much. Their costs might move around a little bit, but on the whole, I think we'll see minor adjustments to bring everything in line with each other.
I really, really hope that every faction will be as Trollkin is now. I really, really like what they've done with Trollkin. Like, when you and I, Brandon, sat down one day and we realized that we could make a 3-man team for the 3-man tournament. Everybody could have 2 lists, and we could all play trolls. Oh, that's right, 5-man. Yeah, 5-man. There's a 5-man, and we all had 2 troll lists, and all of them were great pairs and amazing, lists. And I love that because no one goes, home from tournament and goes, fucking trolls are broken, like they would say for Lich 2.
They did say that for about 3 months.
We all knew that was faddish. It's not that no troll casters had been nerfed 3 times like Lich 2 or Halays or stuff like that. It just doesn't happen because those are casters that are actually just so far above the curve they constantly warrant attention. But trolls, I feel like they did a really good job somehow in trolls of making a faction that does a lot of different things. They do it all to the point at which you can find niches for almost all their models. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see things like Skinners exist in the game and stuff like that too, because I feel like that was one thing about trolls is they don't have a huge amount of infantry choices, sort of. They do have a lot of different list footprints and list styles that are all facilitated through these different casters and warlocks, and they're all viable. That is something that I would really like to see out of this next book. I hope and you said it correctly, that I feel like all of Mark II has been them throwing darts at the wall, looking for Mark III. That's what they're looking for. I feel like Trolls is the bullseye, in my opinion. I hope every faction becomes like Trolls, and everyone goes I've got 10 casters to play, and then I've got a half a dozen more that are playable, but no, they're not gonna. I shouldn't expect to win tournaments with these unless they're surprises and gotchas because no one ever plays them, and so that's how I'll win. But
I wonder how possible that really is. Now, that's not me just trying to be a naysayer. That's me just adding up, I don't know how to describe this. I want to use the term philosophical math, but that doesn't really make sense. Okay, the game has X number of features. Okay. Which is why certain things are powerful. Reach is powerful for a reason. Being able to move is powerful for a reason because it's a game based upon placement. Reach lets you have. Reach makes your placement matter more. It does. Reach lets you effectively utilize your placement better. Range lets you effectively utilize your placement more. That's what I mean. It's a miniature game. It's based around having a model on a table within range of other models or moved to a certain place on a table. Those are the baseline cores of a game. That's what we have. Now, how many different variations of something that simple can you put in the game? Because then at that point, it's let's say you have another person who doesn't do something. Okay, what's a prime example that we have for Mark II right now? Okay,
telekinesis.
Telekinesis is incredibly powerful because it
changes the game state
a lot. It changes what it can be used for. Its versatility it's absurd. It's so huge, which is why it's strong. I mean, you'd figure, okay, well, that's 2 inches movement, right? 2 inches is not nearly as much as the extra 3 inches you get from this, so this is obviously stronger. But no, that 2 inches can be used 50 different ways, whereas that 3 inches is only for a charge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of like Energizer. You think,
yeah, that's supposed
3 focus, but you only get to move up to 3 inches. But when you consider that's for the entire battle group, that really can add up.
Why certain effects in the game are just stronger than other effects. That's why we see certain casters are just stronger than other casters. Recursion's a strong thing because, it effectively means free points, which certain tier lists just mean free points. It just means things like that. And that's why certain things, no matter where you put them or what they are, they're stronger in the game. So if you have 16 casters, how can the 16 casters be different and do different things, but be on par with one another when there aren't that many facets to the game, not because the game's uncomplicated, not because the game doesn't have things to it, just because the game is actually just a tabletop game?
I think it's because individual models are more than just a sum of their stats and spells, but also what they can do within the faction. So, these 10 models these 10 troll locks that are all highly playable right now did not exist all at the beginning of Mark 1. Even if they did, even if all of them were in the troll book at the beginning, they did not exist in their glory now because they didn't have access to the models they have now. When you make specific model choices for beasts and infantry, putting them in factions, all of a sudden now you can start to see how they're interacting in interesting ways with casters and unlocking doors for them. And previously unabusable effects are now becoming more abusable, and not to the point at which it's a broken effect, it's just completely off the tier, but it's just strong now, whereas before it was okay. Gunbjorn is the perfect example. He was a maligned caster for a long time in Trolls, and then one or two releases come out and everybody realizes hey, this guy's got a lot of potential with a bunch of different things, and one of them is even the Colossal, that everybody agrees Colossals are horrible in Hordes compared to War Beasts, and yet here's a Troll caster who used to not have anything particularly abusable, but now he's highly playable because of the Colossal. And I think that it's masterful game design. It's looking at the faction and the availability of models as a whole, rather than just let's make one cool model full of a certain kind of character or a certain kind of spell that makes them stronger than every other model. It's looking at everything and how everything can connect. I feel like Trolls are a really good example of excellent game design because not one model in Trolls looks completely broken. It's when you start connecting the dots and seeing all the things working together that you see what's going on.
I'd say one model in Trolls looks...
When you look at Mulg, you realize how silly he is.
There's clearly an outlier in
there. That's one thing I'm really liking about this.
Yet, Mulg is a character, Mulg is expensive. So yes, you get your one amazing model that everybody can agree.
You'll care.
What's that?
Spence is doing the who cares. Logan.
That's the argument. Mulg is still, I think, just completely and utterly abusable, and he's a bullshit model.
Well, that's because the Trolls faction is based around buffing things. When you take something that's already an outlier and you just keep buffing it to the point where it's ridiculous, but that's your entire army, it becomes the model.
Right. If that model can do what Mulg does, that's fine, though.
I don't necessarily agree. Mulg is great because he gives you a great baseline.
I feel like Avatar of Menoth with Enliven, just that by itself is just as much of an outlier as Mulg is. And that's because that's really, really, really dumb against so many things.
Spence is clearly disagreeing with you, but if you actually sit down and look at the numbers, it actually is.
Sure.
Right.
The main problem I see with that is that Mulg can be more reliable because of the Fury mechanic as compared to the Avatar.
The Avatar used to be taken as much, if not more, than Mulg was.
Right, but you also can't buff him.
You can't buff him to the same point, but it's much easier to get the buffs on him that you need. If in Trolls, you're looking at all the buffs you can put on him. If you want to put Rage on Mulg, that's 9 points.
The fact that we're having a conversation of whether or not the Avatar is comparable to Mulg is what I find awkward.
And he's not. He's not.
I think he is.
He's not as good as Mulg, but he's comparable.
No. What I'm saying is...
You also can't enliven Mulg.
Right. And you're talking about... What we're talking about is one outlier character heavy thing in a faction that is obviously much stronger than the other things in the faction. It's their flagship guy, and not every faction has a flagship guy. That faction does, and that faction does. Menoth and Trolls both have a flagship heavy, and the other factions arguably have less of a flagship heavy. Although I think Deathjack is probably another one that's a great example. Just Deathjack is probably as good as Mulg in its faction. It's fucking amazing in a lot of ways. So
he is more situational than Mulg for sure, but
and Mulg with every I will argue that Mulg with every Trollkin caster is not is not king shit. He becomes absolutely monstrous with a few. And with other casters, he's just a strong character beast, which you should be because you paid for a character beast that's strong, and there's only one of them. So.
Okay, but do we see this changing in Mark?
That's my point on that. Okay, not to despair the Mulg point that much further now. What Mulg is as a character in Trollbloods as a faction is honestly what I would like to see characters be, but it's not true across the board.
Right.
Not just some characters aren't that good, like Scourge of Heresy is
Right. Not every character needs to be on that level, obviously. I think like Hand of Judgment is a good example.
Yeah.
Because he is very strong with his caster, but he is not to the point where he is an extreme outlier. Like, he is clearly a good choice with his caster. Without his caster, he's still arguably strong.
I think that that's a good place for most characters to be. Tibbers, great place for a character to be. It's like, there are plenty of places where characters can be like that, and I feel like as a character, when I see something like Mulg on the table, and then I see something like Scourge of Heresy on the table, or Fire Salvation on the table, and I understand point values are a little bit different, but it's like, I just don't, to me, it's not even comparable like, would I rather have a Reckoner or Scourge of Heresy? That's not...
What I meant by the original troll point of I think every faction could be like Trollkin. There's a balance within the faction that exists that allows me to say, I'm going to play one of 10 warlocks in my faction and consider myself as maybe first place. Now, I can play anything I want in the faction, and I don't expect to have all 16 to be equally strong or be able to have enough play space for all 16 and to be equally amazing. But to say that you have 10, I've played factions now for like 14 years. Is that how long this game's been out? Like 14 years, 12 years, whatever it is. Okay, 12 and a half years. So I've been playing factions, Signar and caterer, for 12 and change years. And I can tell you that I've never, ever had that ever in this game.
That's because you have Taily too in your faction.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? We've always had these 2 or 3 top casters, and everything else, depending upon who you ask, is garbage.
Right. Well, yeah, there's the top 2 or 3, then there's 8 open spaces, another 5, and then 10 open spaces, and then everybody else.
That's
right.
True.
And I love that Trolls has this, not because it makes troll players better or it makes harder for trolls to play or it's better for the game state or whatever. I love that this has this because it shows that PP and this game has enough space for that to happen. And so that gives me like hope. It gives me the ability to say, maybe if they can reproduce this in 3 more factions in Mark II, what a really fun game this will be.
I really want to see that. I want to see someone who has enough scope of the entire game, which they've been doing this for 3 years, they've said. I want to know that, I want to believe that they can stand back far enough and see something I can't, where they can make each part of your army worthwhile without just making one better than another.
I think some of the endemic changes they're making to the entire game, like the one focus to everything, is actually going to do that for a lot of Warmachine factions, actually. I think that's going to happen. Because one of the things right now in Warmachine that I think is true in general is a lot of the top casters in Warmachine run their infantry the best, and they don't, or maybe they have one excellent jack buff, but really they care about their infantry because in general, Warjacks are just so much harder to play and expect to get the same efficiency as War Beasts. So when you're playing a Warmachine faction, their top casters are almost always guys who are buffing infantry primarily, and then one jack probably, or one colossal probably. So
that's been a problem since Mark 1. It's just infantry machine.
Well, that's economics.
And so every time they've said, well, here's some design space in the faction to make a cool jack caster, and everybody goes, okay, cool, jack caster, and they literally threw him over their shoulder and kept playing the thing that runs infantry because jacks were never able to put out a lot of stuff. If they create some big changes for Warjacks, just all Warjacks carte blanche, I think that's going to be interesting to, not carte blanche, but just like wholesale. Then they're going to be able to immediately just pull some of these 3 or 4 casters that help jacks in every faction up and elevate them to not like skyrocketing. I don't see any of them just blowing past everyone else, but they would just be to a point at which they can start to play more seriously with the infantry casters in the game.
I want to see them actually, they've said this before, how the game's heart, it's initially sold on the idea of giant robots fighting.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there's nothing more disheartening in the game than when you have your really cool Warjack that you bought the game so you could use your big fucking stompy robots fight shit, and it gets killed by a bunch of Winter Guard. Like, they just charge it or whatever, and you're like, those aren't even heavy infantry or like that. That feels like shit.
I actually was thinking about it, how you fix that. I think if across the game you lowered the melee power of infantry by 2, you would just naturally see more Warjacks and more beasts. Because it would get to the point where you couldn't deal with them with regular troops.
I think that makes realistic sense, too. Like, that does. I mean, and
like in IKRPG,
I was thinking
the
that.
only way that you kill a Jack is if you build for it. Like, you have to be like a Man of War or like a fucking Bane Knight, I guess.
Somebody
like,
who literally stacks that direction.
Right, because you just do your normal thing. Like, you can kill Jacks in that game, but it's just because that's what you do.
Yeah, you're min-maxing for that.
Right, you do, like, if you're like, I'm a Mage Hunter Strike Force, and like, you go to fight a heavy Warjack, you're like, sure, I'm going to roll 2 dice off 10 every time I roll damage, and he's going to hit me at dice plus 8, and you're like, I'm dead.
He just has to hit you one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and that's, in my head, I mean, okay, the fluff-wise, how it's described and how you see these towering constructs. Now, I love the Warjacks. Now, I feel like, it's like in real life, battles can't be won simply with tanks. You still need ground troops, okay? That you need a combination. You need these things. I mean, and they're kind of like the tanks on the battlefield. That's what a Warjack is. You escort it in there, and you don't want their Jacks to get to your Jacks, because they get on your Jacks, your Jacks going to die. If your Jack gets on their Jack's going to die. That's the premise of the game.
I almost want it kind of like Drop Zone Commander. To score an objective, you need infantry. So your big, massive tanks and airships and everything that's designed to kill things can't hold any objectives.
That's interesting.
But your infantry is primarily just an objective hold.
Correct.
That's kind of how Flames of War was, for the most part.
But they also do have some minor ability to deal with some of the big stuff, but you're not rolling a bunch of dice.
But your primary objective is not, see how many dudes I brought. Like,
right.
That doesn't help you.
That could be interesting, and they have already discussed the point values,
I'm
which...
going to shoot my rifle at this helicopter with 3 inches of armor on it.
To prevent us from going down and just saying this is exactly what we've heard and what we've said, because I think that's there's a big swampland out there of what they've said, and not even saying that we don't get it, because I think that realistically we're all good enough at separating what we've read on forums and what they've actually said, but I don't want to add to that by us mistakenly saying something or misinterpreting.
No, they definitely said that Weapon Masters are going to have decap in Mark III.
Well, they said Weapon Master was going away.
No, they were going to keep Weapon Master.
Oh, no, that was just a
and
line on
gain
the forum.
decap.
Okay, so this is all bullshit. But
As a point to your posit about take melee damage -2, something I thought about, wouldn't it be interesting if combined attacks disappeared? And the reason why is, I just thought about it, I was like, because I've never understood how, like, a unit of archers says, instead of using a bunch of little arrows, we're going to make a giant arrow and shoot it at that.
It's Golden BB.
It's the general concept of what if all 30 of us shoot him with rifles? Like if you shoot one guy with a rifle, there's actually a decent chance he'll live through the shot. Like if you were in a crowd and one guy in the crowd has a gun and he shoots you, Parker, there's a decent chance you'll live. Now, what if 20 people shoot you?
Exactly.
Like
So
you're just dead.
So I think that all 20 people should shoot you. I don't think it becomes all of us somehow look at each other across our shoulders and go, everyone, now! And like they all shoot the same bullet.
It does make sense.
I understand for
that
overcoming like a massive armor value.
It's also military training.
Well, it's not saying that whether or not it's possible. It's just the realistic viability of us all having a blunderbuss and then it becoming a laser.
It's as if they go, everyone, I'm going to paint this spot on the side of the tank. Everyone shoot all their bullets at that, like, pinhole, and we'll drill a hole. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Also, I think combined melee attacks don't make a ton of sense. Because they already have a mechanic in the game for every single model to make attacks, combining doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I feel like they should either just everything should be combined, and you should just do everything like that, or you should make individual attacks. That you always have to work together, or you always
too literally though.
It's supposed to be a gamble mechanic.
It's not if you're attacking things like Warjacks. Where I'm talking about, like the fact that a unit of cleft, of wild men from the woods can all simultaneously stab a giant metal construct and it just falls apart. Like that makes no sense.
I can understand the argument of CRA versus the construct, because if Nis hunters shoot at a juggernaut, their maximum damage per arrow should be 2. So
right.
I mean, I understand your point, but at the same time, it's a war game. I think the ability itself is not unbalanced.
I don't know if it's unbalanced, but I think it would be a huge. It might put a dent in infantry. I think it'd be. I don't know.
I don't think it would. How many units do you see get played that have the combined ability? Not to mention how many in mass do you see?
I understand, and I also get that even units who have combined, people forget it oftentimes. We're like, these guys have combined, okay, like because they didn't take them for that.
Dude, Man of War Shock Troopers combine OP.
Usually, when you take infantry, what you're looking for is multiplying your stats over multiple attacks anyway. So you're looking for signs importance. You're looking for battle rage and lust and all.
It's just economics, and that's the thing is economics. Okay, if I spend 8 points on a Warjack, I'm realistically getting X number of attacks out of it, and it costs X number of focus per turn to actually effectively do that. And then even then, it's only like those attacks are stronger, but it's in a smaller number. So if I miss one, I miss 25% of my damage because I'm only doing 4 attacks. Whereas if it's infantry, yes, I have a smaller chance. I have a lesser chance of doing as much damage with each individual hit, but I have more guaranteed damage, and potential spikes are going to happen. So it's like it kind of weighs out to the point where it's. I had an argument with a guy back in the day, simply because I like to argue every single point, just to play devil's advocate, and it was heavy infantry versus regular single wound infantry. Okay, and he said that heavy infantry is always going to be better. He said every single time it just makes more sense to take heavy infantry. And I explained to him that's not true, because you have 5 guys in your unit, I have 10 guys in my unit. I can kill your unit in 5 attacks. It's going to take 10 attacks for you to kill my unit, with disparity of AoEs and such. But
you said unit,
but the economics of that, of the number of attacks it's going to take, and the number of attacks, which is actually kind of why the Fury mechanic gets a little bit maligned and why they think it's more powerful, because you can almost always effectively get more attacks on the table, throw more dice on the table, because
that's not actually why I think Fury is overpowered. It's the perfect efficiency. Because Warmachine, you have to allocate 3 focus to your jack to make sure you kill something. You kill it in the first attack, you wait for 3 focus.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem with focus, honestly.
Curious thing, just about the 1 focus to every jack thing. I wonder, this is just my own personal, because I love Nemo. I love Nemos. I wonder how they're going to change Nemos. I just wonder. That's all. That's all I want to say.
I was actually going to say, wouldn't it be cool is if a Warcaster as a star action could take focus off of one of his jacks, like Nemo 1 can? Or is it Nemo 2, sorry.
2. Yeah.
But yeah, so like you allocate 3 focus to your jack, he goes and he kills it with 1 focus. You got 2 wasted focus out there. What if he could spend a star action to pull it off and get that 2 focus back?
I think the proper way focus was intended, if it was a perfect world and focus was as efficient as Fury, it would be induction. Induction's wonderful. Seeing induction work properly with a convergence army consistently, just standing on the side of the table and watching it work the way it does, not having to figure it out myself, just standing back and watching it happen.
I'd have to figure it out. But it looks
no, what I'm saying, when you watch it actually in effect, watching somebody who's played convergence a lot, I can just see it's like, okay, well, I personally, since I never play that faction, I don't plan out how to do that. But it's sort of thing where with focus they say, okay, well, you have to pre-plan how you're going to do things. Whereas Fury are like, go on the fly and do whatever you need to do when you got to do it. Well, I feel like induction is literally taken to the hyper note of pre-plan what you're going to do.
You're literally going to plan your entire turn.
You are deciding where you are focusing your attention.
So in a normal Warmachine faction, you're going to figure out what attacks you feel like you need to buy and boost. In Convergence, you need to figure out what you're going to buy and boost and where you'll be standing when you do that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. See, that to me says,
it's a pain in the ass.
Well, it is, but the thing is that's the sort of thing where it takes that Warmachine idea of having to pre-plan it. It takes it to the next level, whereas Hordes does the opposite of that. It's like, you don't have to pre-plan shit, just keep going.
Jeremy, do you, after seeing the new induction idea, do you think that'll make it easier or harder to play that game with Convergence?
Do you believe Jeremy plays in dirt?
Oh, I'm sorry, not Jeremy.
God damn it.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm just using your text name, you asshole.
You're responding to a VM.
I don't know why you're confused, Parker.
For those of you who don't understand, we have a group chat, and these lovable scamps have decided to rename themselves other people. So anytime anybody reads anyone, they don't know who it is.
So originally, Jeremy would just change his name to Parker, and then he was like, "Change your name, asshole." So he changed his name to Brandon. So I changed my name to Jeremy.
Should I change my name to Parker then?
Probably.
Parker, you change your name to Spence.
Back to the new induction.
To the new induction. Supposedly, it's been confirmed by Simon. Is that who did it?
My brother?
I think it was yeah, that guy. The guy who stabs people
Stabby
for a
McStabberson.
living.
He actually just got out of jail.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Hooray!
I mean,
criminal
not for
justice
everyone
system.
not for everyone around him.
Lock your shit up, everybody. Simon's out of jail.
Hide your kids, hide your wife, because they're stabbing everybody up in here. So anyway, the way the new focus induction is going to work for convergence is there will be no cap on how many times you can induct per turn. So one jack potentially with 3. We're assuming there will be a focus limit. Nobody said you're still limited to 3 yet.
Yeah, actually, that I've read that's been confirmed.
Yeah, you have read that. Nobody else has.
Pretty okay. Like I said, at this point, I don't want to say this is because I honestly at this point cannot fucking.
I actually thought it would be cool if it was based on how many focus you could have based on what type of jack you were. So like a light could only have 2 focus, a heavy could have 3, and a colossal could have 4. I thought that would be interesting. Not necessarily balanced, but interesting. Potentially, if the corollary works the way it does now, with 0 effort from your Warcaster, you could put 3 focus on every jack in your list. Which, assuming that Synergy works the way it does, I'm assuming it won't. Or that Syntherian will not have Synergy, because you can field 19 Warjacks with Syntherian.
And they'll all be fully fueled.
And you could put 3 focus on all of them with Synergy.
It's going to be hard to do the induction.
It will be if you charge people, because you'll charge out of the 6-inch bubble. With Syntherian's Light Swarm, you just move in a brick into people and let them go. Like, you move into their charge range and say, go. They can't put enough guys on you to kill more than, 3 lights. And you put Reconstruct on the leading one anyway, so you're just going to get a free jack out of somewhere. And then you're like, alright, so let's say I have 12 left. You killed 7 lights on your alpha. Well, I'm going to have a plus 12 synergy chain at the end of this.
Now, see, this is where this... Because I think that if we can sit here and within a week and a half of hearing this shit, think of this retardedly broken shit with these things that they've given us, I'm confident that somebody at PP has already been like, but wait a second!
That's
if
what I said before I said that.
It's like, I just think that I'm reading so much of that. It's like, wait, with refocus on everything, Amon's gonna be awesome! It's like, okay, you guys realize Amon's changing, right? Like, that's...
No, my favorite is when people just ask stupid fucking questions. They're like, what if you can't charge in Mark III? Like, why? Why would you draw that conclusion? Like, are you retarded? Like, I don't want to make fun of retarded people, but...
Something hit me as kind of like a weird hope that I feel like one of those idiots for hoping for it. But I was like, what if they just completely remove Eyeless Sight?
I don't think they'll do that. I honestly think Eyeless Sight will get a tweak. I don't know if it's going to be...
It came from thinking about James. How James was all like, I get really mad at my models when I shout. Sometimes I was like, but James, you play Legion. Yeah. You're not allowed to get upset at other players. That's not fair.
I actually read an argument on the forum on Privateer about them asking questions about the new edition. And the question was, if pre-measuring's allowed, will you be able to make charges that you know will fail? I was like, why would you not be able to? Like, why did you draw that conclusion? Like, so not only are you saying that pre-measuring will be mandatory, that you'll say that you're not allowed to make actions that don't work. Like, I'm not allowed to cast a spell at you if I'm not in range.
Well, are you allowed to cast a spell at something that is not a legal target?
No.
Okay.
But you're saying that they're going to add a rule that's saying the only legal targets are the ones that are within range.
I think the logic train there would be, are they going to let you do things you know you can't do?
I think the bigger question is, are they going to create a rule to prevent it because is it really bad for the game? Is intentionally failing a charge bad for the game? Especially when you know if you're going to fail it before you do it?
It's like this is the rules forums, you know, whenever the circumstance comes up, you're like, wait, it never mattered until this. And then some crazy person comes up with a ridiculous bullshit thing where it's like, but it could be manipulated this way. It's like, I mean...
The intended failed charge thing has been part of the game for over 12 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So, have they ever even hinted at that's not the way they wanted it to work?
No.
In fact, it's actually encouraged in many situations.
I think it will be most definitely encouraged in this, because it seems like what they're trying to do is keep the game moving fast.
Mm. Let's touch base with this real quick, since we brought it up, and I don't think anybody here is an idiot. So, pre-measuring coming in has been a big topic a lot of people have talked about. John Damaris brought up the most valid thing in the world about pre-measuring. Doesn't matter if you're for or against it,
I'm against John Damaris having opinions.
John Damaris is against you having an opinion.
I apologize, John.
You should apologize to John.
You don't be talking shit on John.
We're all a big fan of John here. So,
Hey,
Bitches get stabbed for less.
okay.
John fucked me. Fucked me over in that Daikon tournament, I'm just saying.
Now, actually, pre-measuring has always existed. Like, Muse already went over this.
Partial pre-measuring has yeah, so if you want to listen to Muse, go listen to Muse. If you want to listen to us, Spence, stop talking.
Shut up. But it's a really valid point about the whole pre-measuring thing. It's like, it's always been there, and some people are very, very bad at knowing measurements. Other people are really good. Over time, Brandon, you talk about different talents to develop, how that's something that over time with all the different games you played, that's something you developed.
I actually know exercises you can do to get better at judging
Yeah, you told me
distances.
before. Now, I think that now removing that from the game, I liked the fact that things couldn't be measured. I don't think that fact that now things can be measured is going to make it a negative thing at all. It'll just make things simple. I mean, like, okay, how many times have you ever, shown somebody something, or just having the information out there because is literally just, it's somewhat common knowledge, not common knowledge, but it's something they should know by all rights, but for some reason.
It's kind of like if you had this zone that you knew exactly the size of, and whether or not, I'm just saying, like, if you had, like, this model that that can shoot things, like, a certain amount, and you're, like, partially in a zone, affect your shooting
Sure,
ability.
like if I could shoot a gun 12 inches.
I'm mainly trying to say, like, Harvey versus Spitter.
Yeah. God damn it.
So,
Fucking spitters.
I'm terrible.
I'm just going to point out that you had a model
Shut
on the
up.
table that was chosen by a deity to be its champion and was endowed with magical powers greater than any other, and you died because the turtle spit on you. I'm just going to point that out.
Hey, it was a really big turtle, and that was really bad spit.
And it was really nasty.
She's a little girl and she was wearing a blindfold. It's a giant mutant turtle.
Is it teenage?
I mean, I'm not sure how old the turtle was, but to grow that old, it would probably have to have been at least in its adolescence.
At least.
All right, how about the removal of fear/terror?
I'm curious of what they're actually going to do with that, because I've never actually played that rule realistically.
He plays exemplars. He says all of his shit's fearless anyway. They said psychology in general, basically, but
I was really surprised by that because it's been well, Brandon understands how long I have dealt with abomination.
He is saying you yourself are an abomination.
that's probably true.
No, what I mean is, if I want to play a model that has abomination, I must have all models in my list be fearless, or I will not play that abomination.
Parker can't remember the difference between terror and abomination, so he will intentionally move in and out of the 3-inch bubble as many times as actually physically possible during a game. What I honestly think is going to happen is when they said because they specifically called out that your units will not run away anymore. I think there will be a negative for failing a command check. It will just not be breaking.
Right.
Me and Max think there's probably going to be like a -2 to hit modifier. So like, you're mat 7, you're attacking a defense 12 model, but you're fleeing or broken or under distress or whatever you want to call it. You might need 7s instead of 5s.
Right.
Or there might be some completely different effect. We're hoping for that because if there's absolutely no psychology in the game, that might actually be bad for the game.
Every adventure game.
You're just taking an optimal level of complexity away where it's not overly complex. Like, it's not hard to add that. I do agree it was not necessarily balanced because the penalty for failure was not just for the point cost, but at the same time, it was not hard to pass it either. Like, so many units were like command 8 and 9, which is pretty resilient, and then half the fucking units in the game were fearless, so like, you pay a premium for that ability, and then to have it commonly not work, you need it to do something when it does.
I think that I personally don't like the idea of the whole pin, the -2 thing. It's like, I know you guys have played many games, you've seen that effect before. To me, when I hear that, it's just like, it's going to be annoying to remember it. It's going to be another modifier on rolls that I'm going to have to think of whenever I go into doing things. Like, it's just me being lazy, but I see that,
Right.
like, I like that less than the models just being fucking useless, because
I like to bring up Flames of War when people complain about morale checks in this game, because if you don't know how actual games do morale, then you just don't understand. Because in Flames of War, if they killed your leader, how about this? Let's play it this way. If you had 4 elements to your army, you had 3 platoons, a tank squad, and your commander. Five parts of your army. If they killed your tanks, one of your platoons, and then killed your leader, they've killed over half your elements of your army, and your leader's dead, you lost the game. Because when you lose half your elements of your army, you take a command check on your company commander, which is your leader. If he's dead, you automatically fail. Your entire army breaks and runs. If your company commander is there, you roll a leadership check on a single D6. 1d6, you roll it. If you don't roll whatever your leader's command range is, you fail and your entire army runs.
A change that I think we're going to see, and this is going to be something that affects a lot of things in the game, not everything, but a lot of things. We talked about this a while back, and I think they're going to directly take it from us because we're very influential in this sphere.
That's true.
We talked about how effects that mean that somebody can't play the game are unfun effects. They're bad for the game. Okay? We've talked about how
anything that slows down your ability to play the game
slows it down or takes it away. Like whenever you literally just say,
temporal barrier.
You don't get to play with the models you bought. Right. I have this ability that says,
the withering.
You can't do things. Now,
Lich 2.
Making it more difficult to do things, making things like that.
You play with.
Nope, he kills all of your stuff.
Remember how you beat his whole army and killed all things, and he just moved up and just took a shot and killed your enemy, and you're like, okay, you lose now. Oh, how did Lich win the entire game on his own? It's like, because he doesn't need his army, he just is there. I think that's going to be something that we should look for to go away. Not that we want it to necessarily, we know we do, but I think, well, not I'm saying that that's what I think is going to happen, because I think the community realizes that's bad for the game, which is why you see things like Denny 2's list having to be changed, which is why you see things like, okay, we have to alter this. Why? It's like, well, because if it's in the game, it prevents 50% of the community from playing the game. Why? Because, well, I want to win, and that's the strongest effect, so I take that. And that effect just means my opponent doesn't get to play the game.
There's pretty much two outlooks on it. There's, I want to be competitive, so you need to play the considered high competitive stuff so I can get practice against it. But if I want to be competitive, so I need Spence to play Harvey, he needs to be good at playing Harvey, which means he's going to play Harvey all the time. So everyone else he plays against that wants to play a casual game has to play against Harvey, basically, or have the option to play against Harvey.
It's kind of like what they did to Haley 2.
Right, Haley 2 is a good example as well. It's because who wanted to play against Haley 2? Even if you beat her 9 out of 10 games, it's generally not a fun game, because it's such a pain in the ass just to do what you want to do. And
that's actually why I hate trolls so much.
Right, because trolls just do whatever they want.
Well, no, it's like I play Menoth, and Menoth has an issue with that ridiculous armor. They always have. So whenever I'm playing against trolls, I have this thing where I feel like most of the time I just can't do anything. I can't light them on fire. Mm-hmm. I can't effectively break their armor. So I don't get to play the game. I get to sit there and watch things happen. And yes, I can try. I mean, the effort I have to put, it's like you were talking about with Lich 2, the effort I have to put forth into actually beating a troll army with the shit that I want to play, I'm like, okay, it's not worth it. And I think that that's the disparity they're going to be trying to fix across the board. They're going to try and fix that. Now, they want an entry level for all these new players. I think that's going to be the better part of it. They want to make it easier. Okay, you tell a person, okay, do you think that's 8 inches? I don't. And no, you can't measure that.
I'm not a carpenter. Why would I know that?
It's like, I mean, okay, I was talking to her last night, who's never played a game before. She's all like, I don't know. I'm like, well, you're not allowed to measure it. You just have to think. Do you think it is? And she's like,
yeah, and you give that to someone who doesn't play war games. Like, oh, what do you play? You play Magic? Is that 9 inches? No. Well, fuck you. Like, that's basically
you
the
just
game
lost
we're
the
playing.
game because your most expensive piece, you put it out there because you can't measure.
I bet you feel like a little piece of shit now. Good. Like, I just owned you.
Glad you bought that $50 starter box. Which, okay, side note, I'm going to say this, and this is a somewhat negative thing, and you all can call me on this if you think I'm wrong.
Keep talking.
Okay. I looked at each of the new casters, not their names, not their fluff, not anything else about them. Looking at the pictures of the models themselves they've been putting out there, These are, by and by, very unimpressive models. Like, I look at them and, like, they're clean, they're simple, but I look at them like,
I
that's
do have
not
a question for you, then.
What's that?
Have you seen Striker 1?
Okay, Striker 1 from 2003?
Any Striker
when I look at the models that we have had coming out, like look at Anson Durst compared to this guy, compared to
a lot of people would actually say the new guy looks better.
I think that's because they're arguably comparing Durst.
And the battle box casters are supposed to be unimpressive. All of them are unimpressive. Maybe Denegra.
Did you see the Crix one? The Crix one looks awesome.
Yeah,
I think she looks like a
It's also, we've seen one picture, which if you can't see the model in your hand, like the 3D concept
You're probably
of it,
right. I'm just
makes
looking at
it
him
harder to comprehend.
The caterer one, I want him to look more impressive. Like he's the one that I like the most to look at.
He's not the butcher. I mean, you can't make him super badass. Like, you have to fill
This
your
is
niche.
new stuff, and I wanted cool new stuff. But instead of getting battle box casters,
How
you're
about
right,
this?
Parker.
How about Denny 1 won't be in a fucking battle box anymore? So you have to teach people how to play against Denny.
I can't even fathom that.
With like 4 extra points for some reason.
Like, here, let me help you play the game. By learning how to play, here's your Striker 1, I'll play Denegra. I'm glad that you learned something here, which is don't play Signar, play Crix. Which means you're just going to encourage people not to play the counter to Crix.
I do want to say thank you to Privateer Press at Adapticon for putting in the 2-player starter in that fucking starter box.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I don't have to play fucking Crix.
Yeah, he's drawing Crix the last 4 years in a row.
I was like, alright, if I get Crix starter again this year, I'm fucking playing Crix.
Alright, I could also say something positive about Privateer Press and say something negative about another company and be completely objective about it.
Oh yeah, I like this.
Over the last 5 years I've gone to Adepticon. I've always gotten a grab bag because I'm stupid and set an alarm for when the fucking registration starts. And I'm always within the first 8 minutes, which is roughly you gotta be to get a grab bag within the first 8 minutes of registration. So, over the last 5 years, I added everything up. I got about $400 MSRP from Privateer Press in my grab bag over the last 5 years. From another company known as Games Workshop, I got one novel worth $7.99. Adepticon was originally a GW-only con and was entirely intended to only be a Games Workshop con. They were never supposed to have the other side games there. They brought them in because they were popular enough. And at this point, I'm pretty sure that Warmachine as a whole is like 3/4 as popular as
Well, did you
40K.
voice your opinion at the Games Workshop booth?
You mean the Forge World booth?
Saying the Games Workshop booth.
No, because I was there the year they stopped having a booth. Because they refused... Alright, well, I don't know if we want to talk... Alright, we'll talk about this. They refused to give... They showed up with all their price support and said, by the way, if you let anyone use a non-Games Workshop model in your tournament, we're pulling our price support. And they were like, go fuck yourselves. We'll let them do whatever they want. Because we're not a Games Workshop organized event. We started this shit. It's Adepticon. We run it. And they were like, alright, and then they just left. So they pulled all their price support, which was thousands of dollars in product they had promised to the Adepticon people, and just walked away. So we literally, our prizes that year, because we won Best Display that year, our team did, for the 40K team tournament. We won Best Display. They literally walked out into the vendor hall and bought random 40K products for us as our prize. Because they were like, yeah, GW, fuck us. I was like, well, I'm glad that you have one of the largest showings for 40K in the entire country. And they just fucked you. Like, that's great.
I'm lucky I got in this game. So, okay, Mark 3, other
We haven't
differences.
actually talked about the official things they've said. So I guess, let's go around and each say the thing we like most about what they've spoiled about Mark III.
2 years in the future of fluff.
That's the thing you like most about it?
I am, okay. Number one, they've announced that they're no longer going to publish fluff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well,
The
fluff
is
is
not
a
going to
fiction.
be in the rule books.
Fluff
if you
is
want
the
fluff,
fiction,
you
by
can
the way.
buy fluff books. You want rules, you buy rule books.
And I love that because number one, I don't give a fuck about the rule books. I have the digital copy of everything. It's going to be updated more consistently. I want that.
Okay.
Number two, I want all the fluff. I want all the fiction. The Skull Island Expeditions has been fucking great to work with.
Is that the novel series?
Yeah. It's inexpensive. It's easily accessible.
I really like the Butcher novel.
It's really good.
That's all I've read. But
And that also means that I think somebody in the group me said this earlier. I think it might have been Parker. How it's going to be really awesome to get actual authors writing this stuff.
yeah, we're not going to have...
Excerpts written by whomever. Not that you all haven't done a wonderful job.
I tried to read the fluff out of the Forces of books, and I literally was like, which caster do I like the most right now? I opened Borkus Fluff, I started reading, and I literally wanted to vomit. It was so bad. So it was like, then he charged and made his flesh like iron, and I was like, I'm done. Like, this is so bad. Like, I had to close it. It was
well, and
so
the
bad.
idea is, okay, what I've heard thus far is they've been giving snippets here and there, so find what you can and just guess whatever you want until it comes out. But they said, okay, it's going to be 2 years after the culmination of Mark II, pretty much. 2 years after that, it's going to be great. The new battle box casters are going to be movers and shakers. Things are going to be happening. Things are going to be changing. It's something that I'm really looking forward to.
I'm actually speaking. One of the cool things about the fluff is I feel like all the Forces of books, they had like hit and miss like stories. Some of them were amazing, and some of them were just like flyover pages. Like you shouldn't have read them. They were a waste of your life. The story from one, I think maybe it's the Signar book. I can't remember. One of them was Constance Blazes, like her initial story. It's amazing. Like it's so goddamn good in that book. But that's the only standout one, that I remember. I love seeing the colossal epic moments at the beginning and the ends of the books, like advancing the story of the world. But in some of those moments have been really fun. The battle at Mordor or whatever it is, the first time the Lich tried to like res that Orgoth temple or whatever, it was not easy to read. Like you could not tell what was going on all the time. There seemed to be like massive plot holes because they were bouncing around in so many parts of the battlefield that it wasn't coherent. Like I remember reading that going, I don't know what's going on. So I feel like I never ever want to poke any holes at Iron Kingdom's lore and fluff because I feel like they write extremely.
Well, it's a solid world that, itself, they do a great job. The thing that I'm really looking forward to, but is that. However, I did play Legend of the Five Rings back in the day, and Legend of the Five Rings did this thing where they stopped and they were purchased by another company, and that company released Gold Edition. Gold Edition was like 10 years or so after the storyline had ended. And the thing that I didn't like, L5R was really great because the storyline was great. It was character driven, it had all kinds of great plot going on, and you could follow that, and the cards represented that. That's something that was really fun to follow along. And then Gold Edition comes out, and it's like whitewashed, and now everybody has an Ancestral Armor card, and everybody has a special sword card, and it's like these are just in the starter set.
It's like,
you just have all this.
You're playing the samurai faction, that's gold. Like, that's the only difference.
It felt like Legends of the Hidden Temple. It's like, okay, you're the golden snakes, you're the silver monkeys. It's like, no one, it took the specialness away.
Right?
You're probably right. So,
the blue Barracudas.
I hope that by jumping in the future, they don't drop the characters that we've grown to love. Like, I don't want them to be remnants. I don't want to, like, lose what
I don't want to pick up Karchev and Toe is +1 movement on your battle group. Like, that's going to destroy me.
Not the system. Like, in the storyline, I want them to still be around. I don't want them to forget where we were at. I don't want them to use as just a washing point for the storyline that we've been following for years now.
Okay. I see.
And just like, oh, Stryker? Yeah, he's the general over there. Blah, but now you get to follow Maddox around. The old bitchy lesbian. It's like, I don't care about Maddox. Like, she doesn't mean anything to me.
But she could. I saw you lose all care.
Well, okay. That's just because the new Scorn guy looks fucking horrible, and I think Morgul looks amazing, so.
Alright.
But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
The thing I'm most excited about when I heard the spoilers, probably that they've been developing it since pretty much Mark II came out. If you listen to the Primecast, I don't know who else did. In the Primecast, they talk about how basically as soon as 2.0 came out, they basically just opened their Word document and said, Mark III. As soon as any problem came up or anything they thought wasn't really balanced the way they wanted it to be, they just started making notes, and they were like, all right, we're going to make this better by doing this. And they immediately started working on all their problems. I feel like the last 6 months to a year had basically been them trying to push the limits. So like we saw EE really go crazy, it's been released more than a year, but really it hit the extreme. Warders kind of maybe, but really the most recent releases, let's see, Croak Raiders, probably Body and Soul was probably about a year ago now.
I think Kane's character, Jack.
Ace was a little on the low power side.
No, it's just the way that he really worked with Kane.
Right. No, I like how characters really have a fluff for their caster and all that. That's great. And I'm just saying, like, just releases in general, I feel like they've been trying to push the limit, like Gradius. Putting synergy in hordes in general. Which, if you look at it, works a lot like synergy with Power Up, because you can actually put 1 to 2 Fury on everything in your battle group. So that was probably a playtest for Mark III more than anything. And guess what the most broken thing about it was? Shifting Stones. That was the most broken thing about the Theme Force. The Sentry Stones and the Shifting Stones. That was the problem. So I feel like they were really just trying to see how far they could take things. Because we've seen a huge increase in armor. Maybe they're just trying to see how far you can push armor before they release Mark III.
That's a valid point. It's actually kind of interesting to think about that's what they've been doing. Right. You think about everything we've done so far as being a test for where we're going.
So if you look like from field test to a year ago, So 5 years of Mark II, basically. It was pretty consistent. Like, it was basically infantry machine, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, a year ago hit, really. And shit kind of hit the fan a year ago. Like, we started seeing armor SKUs for the first time. Meat Mountain became a thing. And then, basically, everyone tried to copy Meat Mountain. And now we've got everyone playing fucking Barracudas, everyone playing Double Glacier King, like all these huge battle groups or just high armor spams coming out. And oddly, right after that happens, guess what? We were really just testing Mark III. So they wanted to see how far they could take it, and they probably figured it out. And whenever they hit something that was just damaging the game, they emergency e-braked or added it to make it semi-playable again until Mark II ended, and now we're going to release everything exactly as it needs to be Mark III. That's why I'm excited. I feel like they know where the meta needs to be, and if they weren't 100%, they tested the waters with a quick release, and now we're ready to go. Like, that's how I feel like the meta is right now. I'm excited to play Warmachine in general. Everybody else is like, I'm kind of waiting to see what Mark III's like. I'm like, I'm going to fucking go play everything I can before Mark II ends. Like, I want to get all the stuff that I loved in Mark II out of my system before we move on. If you ever had that signature caster, like Parker, Vlad 2. Like, Vlad 2 was, like, your guy for, like, 2-3 years. Shut up.
Yep.
You don't play games.
What's going to happen
You
when they
don't play
take away
games.
Kraos 2's tier list? And I
You'll
have...
kill yourself, and we'll all get over it.
My God. I bought a goddamn dice vault that says Crusaders of Sul on it.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
God.
So anyway, Karchev is, like, my guy, and then Vlad 2 is Parker's guy. Krios 2 is Spence's guy. Magnus, just in general, because of Fluff, is your guy. But, like, I just love the way Karchev plays, in addition to his aesthetic. Like, it's just so cool to me. So I'm gonna go play the shit out of him until Mark II ends. Because I'm gonna remember Karchev in Mark II. Like, that's gonna be a nostalgia thing for me. You're gonna keep playing Krios 2 regardless of what's in his list. Like,
That's true. Actually, I'm hoping that those B-level casters that we've talked about before, if they rebalance things and the B-level casters you can actually realistically play again in competitive environments, it's going to be great.
I mean, Trolls really is a good example. What was I going to say earlier about it? I think we got off the topic. Oh yeah, this is what I was going to say. If you do not count Theme Forces, what is the best two-caster pair in Trolls? Ask 100 people. I think you'll get like 50 different answers.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Now, if I said, what's the best two-caster pair in Signar, ignoring Theme Forces, you get four different answers, maybe?
That's true.
When Parker was talking about the strength of the Troll faction, that's what he means. You can't nerf bat one thing. Like, just the faction works well together now. They've filled all their holes. Like, they can do what they want.
My favorite thing from Mark III is got to be focus on every jack. Like, it's pretty obvious. I've already mentioned that like 8 times. But my favorite part of Warmachine, the reason why I bought the original black and white box a long time ago, is the Warjacks. That's Jake's favorite thing about Warmachine. I've always loved the Warjacks as part of the game. It's actually the reason why when I went into Hordes and I played a bunch of Hordes factions, I actually went back to Warmachine. 100%. The only reason is the aesthetic of metal stuff. Like, that's it. Like, the robots versus beast thing, that was the only reason. I love werewolves, the elephants, like, they're cool and all, but they're not robots. So, I really, really want to see, 4 or 5 jacks in a battle group supported with some infantry, and, like, that is a serious contender. Right now, you see, like, you see 4 or 5 jacks with certain casters, but it's gimmicky, like more Nebra or Karchev. Being able to, like, legitimately say, here's my 3 light jacks and my 2 heavy jacks, and I'm gonna play you on an even playing field, without being gimmicky. I'm really extremely excited about it. To go along with the Warjack bit, I also love if they do what they're pseudo planning with Colossals, which is the making them not just 3 Warjack points worth, but like 3.5 or nearly 4 Warjacks points worth.
Their example was a Conquest will cost 3 times as much as a Juggernaut.
Right.
Which they have actually shown. Juggernaut apparently is confirmed at 12 points, and the Conquest is confirmed at 37 points.
Right. So I really like that change, because then it actually forces people to more seriously consider a Colossal in their list. Whereas before, everybody's like, well, duh, you just take Colossal because you spend 3 focus on a Colossal and it will do infinitely more. than 3 focus on any jack in the game. And sometimes it will do more points wise just because a damn Stormwall is literally 4 Signar jacks standing on each other's shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just amazing. Now, actually, when you take a Colossal, not only are you saying I'm going to be spending points that no longer can jack standing on top of shoulders actually equal this out points. It's actually going to be much more legit. But the other thing is, I'm only going to get 1 free focus on my Colossal, where I could have gotten 4 free focus on or maybe 6 free focus on light jacks. I really, really like that equation, because then it forces me as a player who wants to play a Colossal, all right, now how do I make sure that my Colossal is going to get a lot out of it? Because honestly, I should have more Warjacks if all I want is focus efficiency. If the math of this game is that the more focus you have on the board, the better off you are, because you're modifying dice in a way your opponent's not doing that, which is what Fury like is really. It just allows you to just conjure dice modifications and extra attacks. Since you're manipulating mechanics with the Fury or focus, saying that I just put 4 more focus on the board because I'm not running a Colossal, I'm instead running all these Warjacks, is super cool. I love that is a choice now. I think the 1 focus per jack is an inspired idea that's going to open up a bunch of casters and a bunch of different factions, and it's going to open up a real sincere choice between them and Colossals. And also the Colossal point thing is going to help, but it's a more sincere choice than it used to be, which is it was an obvious choice before. If you had 10 extra points, you just bought the Colossal. Duh.
I just like the idea of it also. There's nothing I found more disappointing with Colossals currently than when I put the Colossal on the table and then your Heavy comes over and wrecks it.
That's actually pretty rare, but yes.
I mean, it's just that, or effectively wrecks it. I get so annoyed by that.
Because the meta benefits you for doing that. Like you're not going to take an Ironclad and push an unboosted Ironclad into a Colossal. You're not benefited for doing that. You're benefited for taking Dynamo with Lightning Shroud and Harm and Rust and pushing that into a Colossal with 5 focus from Nemo 1, because guess what? That's a profitable play.
Now, when I put the Conquest down and a Juggernaut down, I like the idea of okay, well, you're going to have to use 2-3 jacks to fight my Colossal, because that's how things work. You have to do that. I like that being something in the game. I mean, but obviously I can't have 2 or 3 jacks.
Right.
And the Colossal. It's I like that idea. That to me, that's more of the idea of what I want a Colossal to be.
I'm going to be very disappointed because they mentioned they're going to make Colossals feel colossal. I don't know what that means.
They said they will make them not only 4 times the cost, but 4 times the effectiveness.
Right. I'm really scared. I do not like the idea that they just make them do what 4 Warjacks do. Again, just making them, 4 Warjacks standing on each other. I don't like that idea. I hope that's not what they're talking about.
What do you not like about that?
Because so many Warcasters in this game have single jack buffs. So many. The concept of Warjack bonding by itself is a single jack buff. So, there are so many Warcasters in this game that have Infernal Machine or Superiority or Red Line, Iron Aggression, Temperamental, Full Tilt. It's just there's so many 1 jack buffs that are so extraordinary in the game, and then most of the battle group buffs are also better on Colossals. +3 armor, -2 defense. All of your ranged attacks are boosted.
It's why the buff is better on a 10-man unit instead of a 6-man unit. So, But my logic is, if I have 20 points in one model, I like that being worth 20 points, not 10.
I'm fine with that, but what I don't like about Colossals before is that because a caster only has 6-ish focus, right? Then they go, okay, I'm going to spend 2 of those focus to upkeep my spells, unless I have some sort of way to get extra focus, like a Silas or something like that. But unless I'm not investing in that, there's 2 of my focus. So I have 4 left to do my spells, cast my effects, or give 3 to a Warjack to make sure they can do everything they need to do during this turn. Well, giving 3 to any Warjack in the game will never net you the amount that you're going to get out of a Colossal. And then stacking that on top of the fact that you have 1 great buff for the Colossal, and you're never going to get more out of putting that buff on Heavy. So Colossals, when they're just multiple Warjacks stacked on top of one another, they can just do more than one thing and do it all for free. The Stormwall's like the perennial example. Earthbreaker's another. then there's so little reason in the game of Warmachine to take more than one. I think the one focus on every jack does something to help that, but if for example they let Warjacks, they let Colossals get free actions or some shit, maybe even battle platform could ruin some things. I don't think they'll do battle platform. Sorry, weapons platform. Even if they let you do that kind of thing where you're just making more attacks than you could ever make with 3 Warjacks, like then you're back to the old problem, which is Warcasters just take 1 Colossal. I wish that didn't happen.
I think you won't see the single Colossal builds very often. Talking specifically about how they've changed all the battle groups to be 0 points exactly. If you look at the point cost now, the caterer battle box is 16 points because it's 7 plus 9. Moving that ahead, the Juggernaut becomes 12 points. So by that logic, the Decimator will probably become somewhere around 18. I'm guessing. Maybe not 18, maybe 15.
You're talking about the Destroyer, if it's still a Destroyer?
Well, the Destroyer comes in it now. The new Jack in the box is the Decimator.
Okay.
Which is the dozer cannon gun with beatback and the saw blade guy. So assuming he's somewhere between 15 and 18 points, that means that the caster in the caterer battle box has 30 jack points roughly to afford that battle group, 28 to 30. I think because of that, you will see more, like, you have to say, I'm not going to take these 2 free heavies. I'm going to spend roughly 10 of my points to get a Colossal on the list. Like, that's a big investment.
And also, its footprint is not as big.
They're not only increasing the cost of Colossals by 50%, and saying that you get also double your jack points.
I would say that it'd be kind of interesting if they were to, like, okay, something I was explaining to her last night, actually, so it kind of like rubbed this in my head. Melee weapons are everything in the game, okay? The power plus strength is an interesting concept because there are very, very few instances in the game that utilize the power of a weapon. It's like, I can think of one off the top of my head, really. That's the only one I can think of. So why in the hell do we ever have that as a number of the game? So it seems weird to me. But then it occurred to me, generally, melee weapons that do more damage across the board. Ranged weapons have a set damage. Every one of them. Well, if you take a gun that's on the Reckoner and you just slap it onto a larger chassis, like the Defender cannons on the Stormwall, those aren't going to become exponentially more damaging. But I think the fist of a Stormwall should do a fuck ton more damage than the fist of an Ironclad. Like, I mean, the idea in my head of how much damage when it punches it does.
You mean the power?
Or the power,
right?
Like what?
The damage is noticeably higher. It's 6 points higher.
It's 6 points higher due to its strength.
But the POW isn't much different.
It's like, and I feel like if you were to do that with Colossals, like make their melee output absurd, because it should be. If a Colossal gets into melee with something,
I think that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah. Now, the footprint of a Colossal currently in the game, they generally tend to be pretty large because where it's only that base, its guns are what matter a lot. And then if it can get into melee with something, that shit's just wrecked. But its guns matter a ton. Mm-hmm. Well, if guns don't matter as much just because you're a Colossal, like if you're a Colossal and you happen to have guns on you, they're good guns, okay? You have good guns on a weapon platform. But melee is where it really becomes that ×4, where it's, oh, well, I mean, I'm going to crush whatever the hell I get in combat with, because there's no reason a Stormwall punching a Juggernaut shouldn't just destroy it. You know, 2 punches from a Stormwall...
It's the equivalent of a Jack hitting an infantry model.
Yeah, exactly. So I could see that being the big disparity between how their power compared to...
I was actually thinking, what if their grids don't really change that much? Like, they still keep about the 2 damage grids, but, like, across the board, Colossal's got +2 strength or melee power and +2 armor. Like, you can no longer realistically one-round them without an exceptional option.
Yeah.
Like, unless you've got the Tiberian with Xerxes 1, like, you don't really have the option to one-round them.
So I think things like that, I mean, that's going to be the interesting outlier. I mean, now... To make their guns like 4 times stronger so they can just one-shot shit off the table, I don't see that. Yeah, that's, at that point we're at 40k, so there's no point in playing the game. But, whereas if your Colossal's melee output is absurd, but its guns aren't better than 4 jacks, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, that's an idea. And I do love that you pointed out for me, Parker, about how multiple jacks give you more focus on the table. That could potentially be a huge deal.
That's why I'm going to run 19 lights.
Amon, he's going to be OP. So that's legit. Jeremy?
It's Warmachine. I want to play Warmachine.
He's going to play Magnus.
And Exemplars.
I only play exemplars.
No, you also play Warjacks, or else you're cheating.
I got into the game because of exemplars.
Can I stack enough exemplars in the shape of a Crusader and just move on?
Probably.
Is it a legit model?
I mean, if you can't tell the difference because there's so many exemplars, then yes.
Just jam them. Okay, let's go around and do real quick the thing that you're most worried about or least looking forward to. Not to get too negative or bitchy about it, but because I know something that I'm kind of concerned about.
So we already said what we're most excited about. So we're saying what we're most concerned about?
Yeah.
Honestly, my opinion on most concerned about is the pre-measure thing, and I'm not really concerned about it. I'm more just worried. Okay, actually, I'm going to change it then. I'm against pre-measuring. That's my personal opinion. I accept that most people are not that way, and probably shouldn't be.
Why?
Because I'm really good at judging distances, I feel like.
Do you feel like you're against it because it gives you an advantage in some situations?
I feel like I'm against it specifically because I feel like I'm advantaged 99% of the time.
Okay.
There's probably 6 people that I've ever played that can judge distances better than me.
So do you feel like it's just a... So it's a personal... It has nothing to do with the quality of the game.
I'm literally just
Entirely
going to take a
selfish.
disadvantage is the only reason I don't like it.
Okay. I got something right and kind with that, something that's just a disadvantage to me. I'm seriously hoping they don't change things enough that the $120 I just spent on new tokens isn't worthless.
You know that they've already said that if they change the tokens, they'll send you new ones.
Oh, I'm good then.
All right.
Never mind.
By the way, refer to Views on Minis for more info on that. Anyway, what I'm actually worried about is that they won't fix the things that are actually a problem, like Lich 2. Lich 2 is clearly an outlier. They've nerfed him 4 times, and if they've been paying any attention, nerfing him 4 times means that he needs to be fucking reworked.
Yeah.
Like, I am completely okay with him being very strong. That's not my problem. My problem is that half the factions in the game that sit down when you're building your list and say, I have 2 lists, I'm going to pick this one of my 2, and say, literally, every single point in this list is going to beat Lich 2. I'm not going to worry about any other matchup. Every single thing I'm going to completely sell out to beat Lich 2. And half the factions of the game can't even get an even 50-50.
Well, and even that.
When they do that.
The advice you give everybody who comes up and asks you about that, though, okay, that's not fun. It isn't fun.
Right.
You shouldn't play like that. It's not a good way to think about things. It doesn't stop from happening, because then when you sit down across, it's like you said when we were at Epcon. Okay, he came to me, and he was fucking exhausted, and Brandon very rarely actually bitches about having had to play the game. That's not something he does. He always wants to fucking play the game. He has a weird fucking addiction. Like, I think if the game had a vagina, he'd be happy. But
I'd be mostly happy.
Mostly happy. So the thing is, he came up and he had just played against Lich 2, which is why it's the topic right now. But it's the sort of thing where it's just at a certain point, yes, you could probably do something to beat it, but it's exhausting and unfun.
No, the reason I was so upset is because I knew exactly what was going to happen, and I was right. So I set up, I'm like, this is going to happen, he's going to move forward, I'm going to move forward, I'm going to basically table him over 3 turns, lose basically nothing. I literally had given him 0 battle points, had basically tabled Lich 2, and lost.
And that's the thing.
On a 3% assassination.
It's unfun. It's unfun. And things like that. That's the thing. Even if you don't build your list against it, even if you do build your list against it, the fact that things like that...
It's just annoying because there's nothing I can do about it. It's just so frustrating.
So, Parker, something that you're concerned about?
Jeremy? Thing you're most concerned about with Mark III?
Infantry creep is going to come back.
Okay. I'm right there with him. I like infantry, but I mean, I just understand its volume, and I like looking at it on the table, but I want to play with the robots. I'm so excited about the resculpt of the Avatar, because I finally get to play that model. I love my Avatar. Dan McCarty put him together for me. I love the way he looks. He's in a great pose. I stole the sword from Scourge of Heresy. He looks good. I'm getting really tired of the Menoth Jacks, in my opinion. The Reckoner looks good. The rest of them look kind of,
Well, it's a completely different chassis for the Reckoner.
It is. The Crusader, I feel like, looks grossly unimpressive compared to most Warjacks. And its poses aren't really there. I mean, it's not really an iconic jack in my head.
It's short arms.
Short arms that are kind of way too far, so they can't touch each other. It's just not, I don't feel like it's effectively built. I want more chassis out there. I want more options on the chassis. I want more, and I know Menoth Fluff kind of keeps them from being that way, but I didn't get into the game because of big war machines. I got in the game because it's a miniatures game. And it's the first miniatures game that I really actually sat down and spent money on and got into. And then I found out, falling in love with it. The robots are cool, the knights are cool, I like all of it. But now that I'm, like, I see a new sculpt and I see what they're able to do with it. Like, when I remember the first time I literally held up a new Ironclad, the plastic miniature, compared to my Crusader, I was fucking livid. I'm like, really? They get this? Or no, it was an Ironclad, or,
The Signar Heavy?
it was the Signar Heavies. Like, they just look so much better. I looked at the Centurion, like the new Centurion. I was like, this looks so much better.
The new Centurion.
It's just more detailed, it's larger, it's more filled out, it's a better model. It's better than, so I'm looking at the disparity between the two. I'm like, I want that. So now I see, this thing gives me so much excitement. I asked you about Fire Salvation the other day, and you know I love Fire Salvation. But looking at his fucking model, I'm like, yeah, the model itself is kind of, I mean, it's 100 years old. I want the updated ones, and I really hope that happens.
Yeah. Parker, are you still alive?
Parker. That worked.
Like he's just been there the whole time and just refusing to answer.
I told you earlier that I am sleep deprived and I am ready to fall unconscious.
Okay, right now the current topic is something that you're not looking forward to or something that you're concerned about with Mark III coming up.
Lich 2 has already been addressed.
Okay. I think that
Or are you just excited?
I'm actually a little leery about each Warcaster having a unique, flavorful spell or ability.
They've already confirmed that will not happen.
What?
Mostly. Apparently there's a few, like Grail, that will just copy other people's abilities.
Oh.
But yeah, in general.
That was what I was looking at. I was going, there's enough room in this game for that? Is the one unique thing going to be like, this guy lets you ignore the flying? You can't fly.
Yeah.
Can't fly.
I'm really not looking forward to
wow, that's a great effect.
Yeah, you give me 10 spell. Okay, it's like in D&D Magic. Okay, well, this is the spell I'm going to use. Why? Like, because it's realistically better than the other three.
And in general, like, how many casters don't have a unique ability? Like, something unique about them? Like, who has absolutely everything they have on another card?
I honestly would be hard-pressed to find that on somebody, but I'm confident it's
Even
out there
if
somewhere.
you ignore feats.
Is it Sturgis?
There's very few.
Confident it's Sturgis.
Sturgis 1, I think. Maybe Sturgis 2 as well.
I just want to be a dick.
Gristle 2, I think, has copied everything, because she's only got, like, 3 spells.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, in general, like, they're mostly pretty unique, and Gristle has the fucking Fellfall shit anyway.
That's Gristle 1.
No, but Gristle 2 has her gun. Like, her gun is very unique.
Her gun is unique, but there are other people with guns.
So you're worried they're going to drop
other
the ball
models
on
do
this?
have ranged attacks.
You're worried they're going to drop the ball on trying to get different shit out there?
I'm not worried about that. The only thing I'm worried about is that they will not answer the extreme outliers, both including the extremely overpowered and underpowered. But I feel like that's the entire point of this, so I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm worried about... So my favorite thing is the Warjacks getting better. I'm really nervous that they're going to actually try to ratchet back characters that are already running Warjacks at top efficiency. I'm a little nervous about them over-ratcheting that.
Darius is definitely getting nerfed again, so...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
You're like, no! Go in the wrong direction!
Like, could they nerf him and Cray and Nemo's? Could they nerf them? Or are they just going to allow them to just get bumped up to a better place?
No, I don't see that happening.
Like that's the best thing about this game is the fact that the people who make the game are part of the community.
Right.
They're not a board of people who are just making shit saying, "Oh fuck it, they'll buy whatever." They're us.
I'm not going to lie, Darius needed 1 or 2 changes in Mark 1. He got like 4 and they just turned him into a tard. So I feel like there were a couple casters that were very mishandled and from Mark 1 to Mark 2. Then there's some that were like sublime in their changes. I feel like Evlod, such a monster in Mark 1. In Mark 2, just playable. Like he does the thing he does. They somehow conserved what he did in Mark 1 and translated him into Mark 2. And that happened many places. But so I'm nervous that they're going to look at things like Mordenebra, for example, and go like, we can't give her Jack buffs. She doesn't have terminal velocity. Now she has jump start and I don't know, magic weapons.
I think that it's going to be just interesting to see what they do. Well, he said, okay, so I want to see the shit come up, and I'd like to see the mountains crumble. I'd like to see plains. Yeah. I want to believe that they can. We live in
Kansas. We want shit to be flat.
I like my bitches flat. So it's like, dude, Resnick 2. I want him to be so much better than he is. I want Menoth to have their big badass caster.
What if we gave him, like, Something like really strong, like Shadowmancer.
What if enemy models can't charge because they take it out of the game, but his models can?
That's like guaranteed.
Whoa, definitely. When
Did
they
you hear? Okay, this is, as far as I know, the only spoilers that are not confirmed, which is what Meanov John posted on his Facebook page.
I love this.
Which, by the way, he is notorious for posting fake spoilers. But he said, trample attacks will automatically hit. They will not knock down, unfortunately, Spence. I know you were really hoping for that.
Yeah, I was.
So, trample attacks will automatically hit. Throw power attacks will only have to roll to hit the original target. They won't have to beat a strength roll, and they won't have to hit a secondary target.
There's no way.
But to compensate for that, they're taking away the additional die on damage rolls for hitting equal-sized models. So, like, if you slam someone into a wall, they won't take an additional die.
Yeah,
but
they're not really going to do much damage.
Right. But so the power...
That's actually kind of...
Primarily, why you do a power attack is not to do damage. You do it for the utility.
Well, it promotes that, though, and I like that, because it promotes more...
But I'm very sure this is fake, which is why it annoys me. But I look at it like, normally when he says shit, it's like, why come Detjack got no reach and berserk, bro? Like, that's like the spoilers he posts. Like, so I'm like, well, this is actually pretty reasonable, and it makes sense. So maybe he talked to somebody who knew some shit.
You know, some cool iconic models that I just want to see what happens to them, like Karlach Slaughterborn.
Yeah, because him killing everything in your army wasn't good enough.
No, I want them to take situations like that. I don't want to call them urban legends, because they're not, but they're things that we just know about models, like,
we could give him some kind of ability where, like, he got, like, just a set amount of additional attacks when he went into melee, and, like, he could gain, like, tokens for each model he killed that makes him better, instead of just having, like, killing spree.
I think that it'd just be interesting if they were to pay homage to the community's jokes that come out in these things. Like, there are things like that, like, things that we talk about, like, give me an example of some reference to a model that's not official rules, but everybody just knows it about them. Like,
Snipe Ego.
If we just gave homage, exactly, things like that. Like,
her feat could be called Snipe Ego.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Choose one unit, gain Snipe. Everything else gets boosted damage.
I think it'd be kind of cool if they did things like that. Or, like, if Gorman actually, like...
only had black oil and not anything else?
No, I'm trying to think of what else he does or what people know about him. You know, the whole, if he was a half point more or something like that. So if there was some sort of half point reference to him.
If Gorman's not 5 points, I'm literally going to complain. Because that was the whole reason for Mark III. Was to make Gorman 2.5 points.
That's why.
Better Business Bureau.
Oh my god, that fucking guy. That guy is the source of so much comedy.
I just can't wait for another... Gorman's Apprentice is going to come out and give him another bomb. It's another solo you can take with him. He's worth half a point.
I would like to see... I know you talked about epic Warjacks and Warbeasts.
Yes.
I would like to see more epic solos come out.
I agree.
Me too.
I think taking what we have and epping it is like, stop adding more shit, because, like, I'm sorry, when Sturgis popped out and he was like, I'm this commanding Signar and Warcaster that's been around, like, no you fucking haven't. I've been around since 2003. Yeah. You haven't been here for the past... Where have you been for 13 years, asshole? Nowhere.
I'm going to give a shout out to Tate here, Tulsi, on the forums. He came up with an idea in... God, how long ago was this? This was Daikon, like, fucking 4 years ago. He came up with an idea for a Kovnik in Kador for Winter Guard that had Animosity Joe that gave them immune to blast damage and... What was it? Like, +2 to damage rolls.
I like the
like
Animosity.
Gang, basically. It was like Gang in melee and immune to blast.
I like the Animosity rule.
But it was Animosity, so he couldn't go with Joe.
Yeah.
Because you were like, you would just take Joe and him and be unstoppable. But instead, you could just do Epic Joe, which fixes the whole problem of taking them both.
Mm-hmm.
And lets you, like, just expand on character abilities. I also want to see more multiple UAs per unit.
I would like... Okay, they haven't given Menoth a second standard bearer.
Poor babies.
You mean
shut up.
Other than the TFG and the Errands?
No, okay, like Silverline or like Black Dragons.
You mean a second UA for the same unit?
Yeah.
There could be a second Zealot UA where he gives them, like, +1 to hidden damage.
Take that a heartbeat.
Instead of Fervor.
They don't have Fervor. They don't have Fervor. They have immune to spells.
No, I'm pretty sure they have Fervor.
So I think that Epic Warjacks again, like I said, I think that needs to happen.
No, that would be interesting. I would like to see... I think we have enough fucking units. I don't mind them adding more units, but
Or
at this point,
creating
honestly,
differences with additive solos like that, or added UAs. So it's like
I would like to, instead of getting a new unit every book, either you get a new unit or a new UA, not both. And then maybe every book you get one more Jack.
something. I mean, I'd like, or you know what? How about
Like, Caterer got like 8 Warjacks in the last book.
what if there was
You don't need that.
like a weapon upgrade kit for a Jack? Like, for example, I have a Crusader, right? Well, let's say I wanted to pay 8 points for a
really
Crusader.
think they're trying to get away from the upgrade kits. I do like the concept, but I think infrastructure-wise, it's not realistic. It's easier for them to just say, here's 3 Jacks over the course of 3 books and release a kit. I do like the concept of being able to build your own Jack. Like, if you were to buy, like, Caterer, there should be, like, 1 Jack box, basically, and it just makes every one of their Jacks. Like, you just put it together. Like,
Yeah, like, I mean,
but it just doesn't make sense.
if they were to just take a shield and give it to a Juggernaut, I mean,
I really want to complain about this right now. Why the fuck is the Spriggan Armor 19? He pays a tax for having the shield you pay the points for. He's 3 points more than the Juggernaut,
he has reach.
and he lost an armor
And
for no
guns.
reason. If the Spriggan's not armor 20, I'm still not taking him in Mark
He's got
3.
the skinny arms.
Shut up. They do not have skinny arms if you buy the real models. Anyway, I think we've talked enough about what we expect for Mark 3 and what we're afraid of
It's
for
gonna
Mark 3.
suck.
I don't think anyone here is down at all on Mark 3.
I'm
other
really
than
excited.
Jeremy, who has depression.
Only because Spence doesn't play with me.
That's true. So, into our next topic, the Sheely Scale of Fail.
Mark 3 on the Sheely scale of fail. We're calling it now.
Calling it now. So let's say 10 being extremely extreme and 9 being not so extreme, I'll give it a 9.5.
I'm going to give it 2 Jakes.
2 Jakes. All right.
1/5.
1/5. And Parker, what's your rate?
Wow.
Parker.
You know he doesn't hear through these mics.
He
right?
doesn't?
We do.
Parker. Parker's dead. All right.
Okay,
Moving on to topic 2. How many 14-year-olds did you
we're not
beat
doing this. Okay,
week?
so back to what I was saying.
No, I'm serious.
We need to
This
go
is the next topic.
the Crawford cheat stick. Is it going to be
That's on the
viable in
store.
Mark 3?
Well, obviously, because the Crawford cheat stick is very important because it's not a predetermined distance of measurement. So when you put out I need to make sure I'm not within 7.5 of your Juggernaut, then on his turn he's like, well, I'm going to charge you. This stick
Why
is
would you order a
7.5.
7.5 cheat stick? You're going to a 7 and a 5/8 cheat stick.
7.6 inches. That's what I'm saying. Like, you need to be able to make those charges when your opponent thinks you can't get there. Cody Crawford on Facebook will gladly get you a Crawford cheat stick.
Yeah, he makes custom ones,
He
actually.
does. Any distance. If you need your 7 to be an 11, he can make that happen. Next segment, why Crix is bullshit this week.
Why Crix is bullshit
Tom
this
won.
week?
Does anyone have any personal opinions about Crix right now? We got one from Spence. Spence,
Okay.
why is Crix bullshit?
Because Banes all don't have reach, stealth, terror,
Dead
tough,
Rise.
Dead Rise, Death Shroud. No, Death Shroud.
Dark Shroud.
No, Death Shroud. You have 0 armor when you're
Death
in the
Shroud
melee
is
range.
0 armor.
Yeah.
And they have decap armor pierce, right?
They need that. Chain weapon.
Although I don't know what
Chain-
armor pierce does.
chain
well, it
magical
applies before or after the 0. So if you're armor 20,
It's multiplicative. You
Well,
add their armor
20,
to your damage.
then Death Shroud reduces you to 0. Armor pierce kicks in, you go to armor -10. Then any damage they deal is double.
yes.
So Power 11 Weapon Master on the charge is averaging a 25. That means you're going to take 70 damage on average.
putting
That's
this out
why
there.
Crix is bullshit this week. And last topic, what are you playing this week? Spence.
Broforce.
Broforce. All right. That's
It's on PS3.
not
It's
good.
amazing.
That's real bad. Jeremy, any thoughts on what you're going to play this week?
Probably my siege list.
Siege list. All people with focus. Your average focus per model should be 4.5.
Wait.
Yeah.
Bane Knights do produce focus, correct?
Yes. Per Bay Knight, your caster gains 2 additional focus per second.
Bane Knights themselves produce focus for themselves.
No. Your caster gets the 2 per second, and then they also generate their own focus, which they
No.
can't spend,
No.
but they need it.
Granted, they generate souls.
That's right. They
Souls.
also have soul.
Which they can spend to buy.
No,
Dead
they
models.
just have soul.
I thought they could spend
Brother.
to buy additional Bane models.
No, that's Score Shade 2's ability.
They get additional armor and base attacks for every soul they have.
Calling
on
it
them.
now. Tartarus gives leadership. Banes can make more Banes.
It's like Coat of Arms
because
in Magic.
Bane.
Each Bane gives each other Bane +1 to hit and damage per Bane.
Would that be Bane?
And when a Bane
Yes.
dies, you return 2 Banes to play from any other game being played.
If they actually fix the Sepulture to be exactly what it's supposed to be in a transport unit, can we call it the Bang Bus?
What?
It's the Bane Bus.
I don't understand what's happening. This
He's
week...
referencing a porn site.
Bang
okay.
Bus.
Bang bus.
Is there
But
2
instead-
or 3 G's in that?
1.
Jeremy spells his with 3.
So are we wrapping up?
Did you just message me?
No, I just put something on L2 Wargame. Question for Mark 3. Will the Crawford T-shirt be more or less viable? I want to see what Crawford says.
It's definitely more viable.
I'm not sure. I mean, because you're going to have to measure things that you want closer. You're going to have to get a whole set of them.
Well, how about this? Until Mark 3 comes out, can they measure your cheat stick?
Ooh.
I don't think they can. Is that allowed? I called the judge.
I think that we need to actually not put the name
I
cheat
would
stick
also-
on the stick.
I would also give the judge money
No,
to
it'll
DQ my
be-
opponent.
It'll be
I
the
should try
Crawford
that the next
CS.
tournament. Huh?
You just
Crawford CS.
judge, and when he comes over, you just slide $20 to the edge of the table, and you're like, "What are you doing?"
No, don't slide. Just be very unslide about it. Like that's within charge range, right?
Anyone not watching, he's holding $5 in his hand.
Right, AK? Come on.
Can you just
Except
tuck
for-
it in his top hat? Like, I'll take that charge for $500, Alex, and just move your guy.
Judge!
While
Like-
the judge is saying it, you just push him across the table.
Wait, who is that one judge that's very adamant about being serious about everything?
That's Travis.
Yes, I like Travis. Travis is very nice. He comes over, I'm like, different judge.
As far as what I'm playing this week, I'm probably going to bust out my caterer and wrap up Mark II.
You're gonna card chef.
I'm going to card shove the fuck out of people with Gorts and Avalanches.
I have no idea what to play.
It's going to be amazing.
Hey, you're gonna put that avatar together?
Nope.
If you clean it, I'll put it together.
Nope. No.
I don't trust you at all.
De nada.
That's not.
Das Boots.
You're just saying that. Actually, I do this thing at work now since we have a bunch of Mexican porters. I asked them if
Edit.
if they
podcast
ask,
here.
like whenever someone who speaks English talks to someone who speaks Spanish and they don't know the Spanish word, they just put O at the end of the English word. So like, where's the bathroom O? Like,
That's what I do.
yeah, they just put O at the end of English words. So I'm wondering, when people who speak Spanish speak, the people who speak English, do they just take O off the end of words? Like, in Spanish, the word for bathroom is baño. So like, they're like, ¿Dónde es ban? Ban. ¿Dónde es?
Donde es van?
It's like, I think that's a thing. So, I mean, I do it to him all the time. I'm like, ¿Dónde es mi gat? Meow. Mi gat. Mi perro. Mi woof. Woof. Perro. No sé? It's like, and they're all like, they know what I'm doing, so they yell at me about it. But I love it so
Because
much.
you're racist.
We get along so well.
When they hate
I
you.
also want to, okay, someone out there needs to find me a clip of this happening, or just like, be witness this has happened, okay?
I'm not going to a donkey show with you.
I don't witness
Again.
shit.
So, I think, okay, you're talking to somebody who doesn't speak English, so you start speaking slowly and loudly. You're still speaking English, like, where is the bookstore? It's like, that doesn't, I want to see
I
some,
still don't speak
like-
English.
like, I want a Mexican guy to come to like, ¿Dónde es la biblioteca? Like, that's, I don't see that. Like,
Still Spanish.
like, it's like, does that happen when you go to other countries? Like, the German people are like, Bach! Bach! I don't know German, so I can't really say it, but it's like, do they just yell at you?
I don't think that's true.
I imagine it is.
Fuck your cock!
But I just, it's a really American thing to think that if you just speak slowly.
You speak
Ich
slowly.
habe einen großen Schlangen.
Ich bin ein Rindfleischkuchen.
No, slower and louder, like
Ich bin ein...
you're very angry with me for not. That just sounds like normal German, so it's probably the wrong
That is
way.
actually German.
I know, but it just sounds how they actually
You didn't
talk.
ask me what I said in German.
I don't care, it's German.
I am a beefcake.
Like, if anybody gave a fuck about the Germans, they'd win a war, as opposed to just starting all of them.
They do start a lot of them.
And they lose every one of them.
Maybe. So, Parker, in your best Russian accent, tell us what you're going to play this week. We had to wait 20 minutes till you woke up.
Oh no, I wasn't asleep.
No, you were definitely, you fucking liar. You were definitely asleep. You were yelling your name for 5 minutes.
What? When? When did you do that?
Exactly my point. Everyone that listens to the recording will know that we actually did that.
No, I believe that you did. I actually wasn't. I just wasn't here. You guys were on a roll. I decided to go up and
get some ice.
And no ice. No ice.
Hey, my name is Packer. I like to use the voice and say things right now, yes.
Alright, what are you playing this week, Parker?
He said Signar.
This week, Soviet Parker, Signar plays you.
Signar play you.
Going to play the Harbinger Hadris.
Soviet Russia, Jack Worthless. Play infantry. Much good, yes.
I think this week, I'm not so. Okay. If it's not.
He has said nothing to this point.
No.
I gotta think, because
wrong accent.
all I have is what I played this last week.
You're gonna play your Vlad 2 to close out Mark 2 on a high note.
There's that potential, actually. I think I might go Soviet Khador.
Make a play Khador, yes.
Because I believe I have not played Butcher enough. And Butcher needs... I have Ruin. I have him. I have not played him. Where? He's just in the
But what are you going to do when Butcher fails his command check with Ruins an Abomination?
You are right. I will be fearful.
I need butching so the enemies play butching CS.
But I will play Butcher, and I will play Butcher, and I will have only fearless models. Only fearless. And only fearless models will be in the list. There actually is right now. There is the current. What is the
He can't speak English well enough to do this, let alone Russian.
The league of what?
He teaches science, damn it.
No,
He just slants.
Is the damn shit.
God damn it.
Packer is not vodka girls.
I'm going to find what this is, and I'm going to be
He's
mad
frantically Googling words.
at myself.
I need
It is.
Alright, well, I'll take over for a second.
Why do I want to make a YouTube channel of just this?
I know, right?
Okay.
League of no. What?
You talking about the platoon crap?
Yes, platoon. Yes.
You couldn't remember the word platoon.
No, I forgot the name of the league. It has a special name. Anywho, I play special
Company of Iron?
Yes, that is it.
That's what you were looking for?
Yes, Company of Iron.
Oh my god.
The Company of Iron. In the Company of Iron, the very first tier is all models in tier are fearless. I only play abominations. When I saw this, I decide I will play Khador for Company of Iron, and glory to Mother Khador. So, much glory. Only fearless Company of Iron abomination. That is what I will be playing.
I really want to play in another 3-list event before Mark 2 ends, so I can play all 3 butchers as my 3 lists. I finally found the 3 butcher lists I like, so I just need to find a 3-list tournament in the next month and a half. All right, well, I think that wraps it up.
Announcements. And anything special coming up this weekend?
Yep, this weekend we've got
May 7th.
This weekend.
May 7th.
You guys are literally... Okay, I'm gonna put this out there. And
shutting up.
So if you okay.
On May 7th in Kansas City at Tabletop Games and Hobby, we'll be running a 50-point Masters event in the KC Masters tournament circuit. The top 3 of this tournament will be invited to the KC Masters Invitational event later this summer. We're having lots of people travel in from out of state, so just let me know if you're wanting to come play. I believe registration is $10. We're going to try and get our price support above what we take in if we can. Come out, it's going to be a great time. Even if you just want to come and have some games, you don't care about being competitive. We're going to have lots of people. It's going to be a good time. May 7th, Tabletop Games Hobby.
This weekend.
Apparently that is this weekend.
There will much rejoicing.
My birthday's also this weekend.
This weekend?
Yes.
You work this weekend?
It's May 9th.
Oh, this weekend then you will have to be at the tournament.
I don't think I'm off.
I don't care. I will call in a bomb threat to your work.
You realize that wouldn't stop my work.
That will when the store explodes. I never
do
said there wouldn't be a bomb.
That's actually true.
Do not use bomb
Call
for
a bomb
his
warning.
word.
Then. It's not a threat, it's
Just
a warning.
claim there
Yeah.
will be.
I will literally kill your customers.
Oh, Parker.
What happened? I missed it.
Good.
What did you say?
Just move on.
I guess
I'll
I'll have
edit it
to
out
listen to
later.
this episode then.
But Parker,
There-
Saying
there
you
are
was going to
scared of
edit something out
scared.
is like saying Lance will be on our podcast again.
Lance is going to be on our podcast again?
I hope
when,
so.
when we talk about Guild
I'm
Ball?
pretty sure that he forgot to Skype it because I didn't answer his call. He's literally called me every other episode to be on. And I just never answer the Skype.
but it's Lance.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Lance is my third favorite person that currently calls you to be on the podcast.
Sure. Alright, I think that finishes up for this week. Go play Warmachine. Hopefully on May 7th.
You can play Hordes if you'd like.
No.
No.
There
It's called
is
Warmachine.
only Warmachine.
It's a Warmachine tournament.
Oh, you know what we didn't mention at all? New faction coming.
No. No, we're done.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Goodbye.
later. Who's saying
Bye
goodbye?
now.
Who's saying
Goodbye.
goodbye?
Das Vidania, Tovarish.
This has been Jeremy. I'm saying goodbye because I'm not an asshole.
I have a serious issue pulling out, so I don't really think that I should say goodbye.
Biakin. That's my Russian accent.
Lord of mercy.
He's horrible.
I'm saying beer can. Beer can.
Be-
Beer can.
It's he's pronounced beer can.
Beer cans.
I think he turned my mic off, so I'll just start yelling.
I can still fix that.
Keep your bumper cut mouth
Turn
shut.
all the mics off. They can't hear me if you turn all the mics off.
Exactly.
Goodbye, everybody.
Parker, any last words? You're the only one on.
This is Soviet Parker. Signing off.
Signing oof.
All right. Later, sir.
Das Vidania.